everybody, and welcome to this episode of Social Biz. My name is Jacob Bodner. We're going to take a look today at some of the case studies for nonprofits and how they can use social media. So this is kind of a very interesting thing. We talk a lot on this show, and we talk a lot in terms of social media marketing, is how for-profit entities, how businesses who are trying to sell you something can use social media to basically market themselves, do public relations and the like. However, there's a large number of nonprofits out there, organizations that aren't necessarily not trying to sell you something, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but organizations that have different kind of outlooks, different missions than what a for-profit organization would. Now, obviously, a nonprofit in a lot of instances is still trying to sell you something. One of the things we're going to look at today is a university who's obviously trying to sell you on the idea that you should attend their university. But another organization we're going to look at today, the American Red Cross, is really more or less trying to sell you on an idea, on an ideology, on a kind of a goal or a mission. They're trying to get you to donate blood, obviously. That is one of the big things. But they have a bunch of other goals out there. They're not trying to sell you a product. So how do these entities use social media, particularly Facebook? I want to look at Facebook today because I think that for nonprofits, Facebook can be very, very valuable in kind of reaching out to your customer base, reaching out to your users, and getting an idea of what they believe, what they feel, and getting some feedback from them. So first, let's take a look at the American Red Cross. The American Red Cross has 414,000 likes on Facebook, and there are 4,200 people currently talking about it. And basically, the talking about metric is if the American Red Cross's page or something they posted shows up on somebody else's news feed, that is a talking about. So if you post a comment, if you like it, something of that nature. I want to point out a couple things about the American Red Cross Facebook page. Number one, I want to look at the frequency of posting, because the frequency of posting is something a lot of organizations and businesses deal with, a lot of what they talk about. How often should I post on Facebook? The American Red Cross shared something today on President's Day. They shared something on Friday, but before that, they hadn't shared something on their Facebook page since Tuesday. Before that, it was the day before. So they're on, maybe a once a day, really probably more something like 4 to 5 times a week type of basis. So that's the first thing. They're not bombarding their likes, they're not bombarding their followers with information. Now, because you don't post a lot, you have to make sure, and something the American Red Cross does very well, is to post interesting information. So for instance, what I thought was really interesting, what they posted today, I learned something from. When I'm researching for the show, I actually learned something. What they posted today was, Happy President's Day. Did you know the sitting president of the United States is always an honorary chairman of the American Red Cross? And they linked to the American Red Cross Museum at redcross.org, which I thought was pretty cool, something I didn't know. So I learned something immediately there, and it was shared 128 times. If you post something interesting, something that teaches people something, they're going to share it. People love to share interesting facts that not a lot of people know because it makes them look smart, for one, but it's just something interesting to share. If you share shareable things, and I know that sounds really obvious, but if you share things that other people will want to share, that's only going to give you more eyeballs on your content. The other thing I want to point out about the American Red Cross in terms of interacting with people is every single post they have on here, except for maybe the President's Day one, which is kind of a still did you know, so it's a question technically, asks a question to people, is soliciting explicitly feedback. Will you send this card? What's your blood type? Have you ever experienced a preparedness flop? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? Those kinds of feedback, or those kinds of questions will elicit feedback, and people will respond. The worst thing you can do is to post a link to something without giving some kind of context. You have to provide, as a Facebook user, context to what you're posting, text around it, so that people understand why it's relevant to them. People are not willing to go and search for why something's relevant to them. They want to know why it's relevant to them. So if you're following the American Red Cross, you're doing so because you want more information about the American Red Cross, but also you probably believe in what they believe in, you like their ideals, you like the idea of giving blood, disaster relief, you want to know the latest on all those kinds of fronts. That's really important stuff. So if they link to something, you want to know what's the relevancy here. Why is it relevant to what you do and your mission at the American Red Cross, and why is it then relevant to me? Something the Red Cross does very well is they take advantage of the Causes application on Facebook, which is an application that allows you to, through Facebook, donate to organizations. So they have an actual donate tab on their page, and if you click it, you'll go to this big graphical looking page on Facebook that says you can donate right on Facebook, and it says that they have received $687,000 in donations from Facebook, from the Causes application. They also have a tab on here. You can find a chapter right on Facebook. You can find a chapter in your area, the nearest Red Cross chapter, and then they have an About section on Red Cross. So what they do here is they say, instead of making it more difficult for our Facebook users, instead of saying, if you want to know where a chapter is, go to our website. If you want to know about us, go to our website. If you want to donate, go to our website. It's saying, we're going to make it easy for you. You can do all of that within the framework of Facebook. You don't have to leave Facebook to do it. So it gives a much more cohesive, easier experience for your users who want to do those things, because they can do it without leaving the site, without taking more time. It's a step that's taken away. Let's look at a nonprofit that's probably trying to sell you something, so to speak, and that's actually, we're going to look at a university, Stanford University's Facebook page. Stanford is obviously a very prestigious university. A lot of people know Stanford, but at the end of the day, they want people to come to Stanford. And so, and they also want to promote Stanford. And let's say, and even graduate or even current students. A lot of students go on and do graduate degrees. And if you're, they want to instill that Stanford pride in you, so you'll continue your education at Stanford, not go somewhere else. So Stanford is certainly in the business of marketing a service to people, trying to get them to purchase that service. So let's look at some of the posts that Stanford puts out here. As a university, I think Stanford does a really good job of not just pushing this is what this student said, and this is awesome. Now, the first post they have is this girl, Kristen Trone. She's the year of 2013. She'll graduate next year. And kind of her story, her Stanford story. They call it the Stanford Challenge, and it links to their YouTube, and you can watch it directly on Facebook. Really awesome. The next one, though, I want to point out the diversity of posts here, right? So they have the Stanford story, the Stanford Challenge, the stereotypical university success story. The next post is a link to a study at Stanford that found a widening gap between rich and poor students. The next one, just looking at diversity here, the next one is actually a picture from a benefit concert that was sponsored by a fraternity on campus. So now this is really cool because it's not university sanctioned directly, so to speak. It's hey, look at what our Greek life is doing for this, that, and the other. Look how cool it is to do this. Better yet, the photo was taken by a student. So that was, that makes it even more interesting. The next one is a link to a Vimeo video produced by someone in conjunction with Stanford University neuroscientists to test lovers' abilities. This whole kind of, another study. The other one, the video or the picture posted on Valentine's Day was a very nice picture. The page wishing people a happy Valentine's Day, but the picture was taken by a student. So you go through here and you see a lot of different diverse posts that all have a connection. They're all connected to Stanford in some way, but instead of it just being this continuous toilet paper roll of promotional material for Stanford, it's Stanford engaging with people, sharing interesting information, again, sharing things that are shareable, sharing things that have some kind of uniqueness about them that would entice people to continue to share them, and also doing it in a bunch of different diverse ways, because what Stanford knows is that their Facebook likes are a hodgepodge of people. There's no specific demographic that is liking their Facebook page, because they probably have a bunch of alums that are liking their page, alums from the ages of 25 to 80, and they have current students from the ages of 18 to 22, maybe even a little older, who have different likes and different tastes that might like that picture from the concert that they showed that benefited HIV/AIDS research. All these different things. So they have to cater to a larger number of people. And they also take advantage of the check-in option. So 173,000 people have checked in at Stanford University on Facebook, which is kind of cool as well. What can we take away from all of this? This rings true for any organization, but particularly for nonprofits. You want to provide something to your Facebook followers that is shareable, that they will send to other people, that will become viral, so to speak. If you post something that other people don't want to share, it does you no good. And because the fact of the matter is, if you share something on Facebook, let's say you have 100 followers, and you post something on your Facebook, the odds of more than 50 people seeing it, more than half of your followers seeing it, are very slim. It's probably going to be seen by more likely 30, maybe 40 people, and that's about it. So you're not hitting all of your followers when you post something. And that's not a reason to post a lot more. That's a reason to post things that are shareable. Post things that people will want to share with other people, and that people will come to your page specifically to see what you've posted, maybe. Number two, I think that it's important to have a diverse kind of content within one thread. One common thread, but have diversity among that common thread. Don't just post positive stuff about this, that, or the other. Post a diverse array of things. So like Stanford does, they post their stereotypical student love Stanford video, but they also post look at this cool study we did, look at what we did to partner with the filmmaker, and look at what our Greek life did to have this concert, bring this band here, and do great things with it. And also, like the American Red Cross does, take advantage of tabs. Put a lot of information on Facebook, put a lot of usability on Facebook. Don't make people go somewhere else. Let people do things for your organization within the Facebook framework, because it only makes it easier for them. And finally, make sure you're human. Don't just post links randomly on your Facebook wall. Provide some context around them. If you're going to post news stories, put around that news story in text, this is why this is relevant. I'm not saying take a stance on it, because obviously nonprofits are particularly binded in terms of taking stances on certain issues. They have to kind of be all-encompassing, and I totally understand that. That doesn't mean you can't provide some information as to why a news story or something you link to is relevant to your followers. Your followers, remember, they're following you for a reason, namely to get information about you, but also to get kind of the same kind of information that you promote, to kind of get a feeling from you, but also to understand and gather relevant information about whatever field you might be in. Tell them why information is relevant. Tell them why they should click something. I'm not saying you hard sell a news story, but tell them if something happened, tell them why it's relevant, provide a quote from the article that entices them to click through, maybe provide a quick copy of why you think it's important. All these different things you can do to kind of create a more interactive, rich experience, and make sure you ask questions within that post and elicit responses. Discussions are a big portion of nonprofits, especially the think tank type nonprofits that are trying to do research and the like. Discussion is a huge part of those nonprofits, and Facebook is a great, and Twitter also, is a great discussant platform, a great opportunity for people to have discussions in an open space about particular topics. So be the organization that elicits that response. Be the organization that entices that discussion to happen, and people will continue to come back to you knowing they can have really good, in-depth, meaningful discussions with people across the globe in one converged platform. That's going to do it for this episode of Social Biz, taking a look at the American Red Cross and Stanford University and how nonprofits can use social media, particularly Facebook. If you have suggestions or particular experiences about how, if you were a nonprofit, how you might have used Facebook or Twitter or any other social media, post it in the comment section below. You can also post it as a video response. You can also post it in the comment section on our website at redtie.tv. If you can keep it to 140 characters or less, you can tweet it to me at Jacob Bodner. Check us out at redtie.tv/SB, youtube.com/rtiemedia. Contact me directly at Jacob Bodner. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Goodbye.